Good evening, folks. We want to welcome our viewers and listeners across the globe. This is Alphonso Zean Soe. Today is Friday, 8:39, running late. That's the beauty of America. We want to welcome our viewers and listeners across the globe. Yet, as usual, we are here to bring you news, information, and entertainment. I am going strictly to Grand Jide. I'm going to take the man from Lofa County with me to Grand Jide. The man from Bon County, he too going to be going to Grand Jide. And next week, we're going to start going to Lofa Bon as well. Welcome. This is Alphonso Zean Soe into this editions of All Things Considered. Okay, good evening. We want to welcome our viewers and listeners across the globe. Thank you so much for your commitment, for being part of today's program. We're running here a little bit late. That's the beauty of America. Sometimes you plan, you purpose to do something, and something got to hook you back. But it's better late than never. I found myself in Grand Jide today. So you see me in my time. I'm a traditionalist guy. And usually it's Amos George, no, and the men from Lofa, they don't hold county. People from Grand Jide, they put a whole county. I'm not talking about the county, something to fake county from Walmart. This one here, it came from straight from Jide Mountain. We want to welcome our viewers and listeners across the globe. The Liberal will be here. By the way, we say congratulations to the Liberal. His son graduated from the Marine Corps today. Total man doing extraordinary work here. Okay, my guys, team of analysts and contributors, they are standing by here. We're going to take a review, profile some of the news making headlines during the week. and so on. So whatever matters to you, you don't have to go with our talking point. Let me go to Atlanta, Georgia, where our senior contributor, Amos George, is standing by. Let me just bring him in here. There you see him, Amos George. So, Pa George.
Yeah.
I'm taking you to Grand Jida today. Next week, maybe we'll go to no, Lofa is bigger than Bon County. Next week, even though Grand Jida is smaller, but hey, I'm in charge of the welcome. So yeah, I am the chauffeur. You guys on board. So next week we're gonna be going to Lofa County, where sister will be leading our Grand March, and then Bon County, where it's in the center. We don't know what is why here. Good evening, welcome. Let me go to Minneapolis, Minnesota, to bring our senior contributor of the Liberia Public Radio, providing extraordinary work here. Thank you so much for his commitment to detail. There you see, gentlemen. So, looking, man, that's more of a paramount chief. You don't wear this.
I was about to ask you if you just got a promotion on E-Mansion.
Oh my goodness.
George, how you doing?
All right.
How you doing?
So all right. Just hold on 1 second here. The people, when you're working for them, some kind of plenty thing they can take place. Yes. Just bear with me a little bit here, and I will be right back with you here. Let me see what's going on here.
Well, I guess we are live, two of us. So I didn't see you Wednesday night.
Oh no, I was running late, but I was following the program. When I came, our daughter gave you. You said she was not feeling well and you were leaving, so I get proxy for you when you left.
This is not the age of Zoom babysitting.
Man, I mean that's the work, man.
Yeah. I was running late because I had to pick her up from the doctor, and then she was clingy because she was not too well.
Yeah, man. That the kids, man. The children. That's the beauty of this country.
This country here can well people. It beats you out. Yeah.
But why you think people go look for that minister join like this join Liberia?
I can talk to you one year. I'm on air. I don't know who watching, but you know when you start out to do something, whether you're working, you're not working, that's your responsibility. When the trouble falls down, they gotta call you.
Yeah.
At the time, it's 8:44. We should have been here, but anyway, that I play out of car front too before I can be like a man. Okay, gentlemen, good evening and welcome.
Yeah, Mr. Soe, and Sister, how you doing again?
Okay, good.
Right. How you doing, gentlemen?
Yeah, welcome. All right. This is all things considered. So there are a lot of crazy things ongoing. So, you know, we will try to take time to look at them. I'm not sure what is good for you, what is not good for you, but I know you've been monitoring news, you know what's been going on, a lot of things going on here. So let's take time to go into people playbook. I know Amos Joyce Diary is no space. Today is Friday, right? TGIF, thank God it's Friday. What are you considering, Amos Joy?
The $30,000.
Oh, I know it. Why you let money be? Why you worry about it?
Many pay.
Very bad, no.
Why you worry about 30,000?
Well, because it's our money. If people cannot be cooking the food and dishing the food at the same time. So
don't speak in parable here. The cooking the food, digging it at the same time. Who are those you referring to?
I'm talking about the National Legislature and the Liberian Senate.
Okay.
They are not there to take funds. They are only there to make sure that what is allocated, they exactly go to disperse them. But They got no power to allow themselves with $30,000 each for the diligent engagement. It's nowhere in the Constitution. The executive, the president is the one responsible to disperse every form of the government. The national legislature have the oversight, pass the budget, and they then to check on the executive mission what is put in there, it dispenses correctly with oversight responsibility. But when they take $30,000 each, no source of accountability, they are not accountable to anybody. What happened to that funds?
Okay, hold your peace. Don't let your cholesterol and everything run about.
No,
let me go to my man in Minnesota here. I'm not sure what he's considering, and we're going to put all in that basket of deplorable this evening. And we're going to have a conversation, and of course, our audience, they have to be part of that. Eduardo, Mr. Davis, Reigning Lady T, Mr. Pete, all of you good folks, good evening and welcome. So let's go to Minnesota. The folks from Georgia, you know, they are controversial people, right? That's where the president wanted to amend his number. So,
many 11,000 votes.
So imagine when the president of the United States can place those kind of call. Then what you do about Liberia, Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, and not to mention Burkina Faso, you know. I just need only 11,000 votes. Why you didn't work for it? So let's ask you here. What are you considering this evening?
Well, seeing as Pastor George already took the controversial route, I'm going to try to balance it out and go the other side. I know we talked about this behind the scene, but I'm still considering education, public education in Liberia. The quality and the equality of access to public education in Liberia.
Okay, it's not a surprise. That one makes you an educator, and you want to see it a resourceful, a good society. Thereby, people can get stuff going. Okay, what am I considering? As usual, the drama, Capitol Hill. I'm trying to see if the Senate can grant me a permission to put Darius DeLong and Akaras Gray in the steel cage ring. Let them fight. No referee, no match commission. They will get two of them. We'll put them inside there.
But I think you got the two wrong boxers for that. I think it's Akaras Gray and Yaga Koluba.
No.
The ANC main one, the ANC representative right there.
No,
why do you want Koluba?
Our friends. Akaras Gray and Yaga Koluba.
But
they are friends, so.
Papa Josh, in the boxing ring, you don't have to make enemies or somebody to go box. You think everybody that Mike Tyson people making flower outside?
So, no. Let's see here. Let's see this
and what do you call Darius DeLong.
Okay. So what we're gonna do here to give you a fair shot here. I saw this video here. Like, oh yeah, we go again. So everybody's trying to get ahead of the camera. We're gonna go to Akaras Gray. Tape. I don't know, it was press conference, and then we'll go to Senator Darius DeLong as well. Let's see what are these two people we need to put them in the Amagadi ring. Let them fight. Yeah, because the people on Capitol Hill now is too much. Let's listen to this, gentlemen, and then we're gonna. Today is Friday. That's what we want to consider. Let's listen to this.
And stand in front of me and say Representative Gray is misleading the public. It's of the service to you, and you must hold their feet to the fire because some of you voted for these thieves. Okay? Darius DeLong is a thief. He's a thief. I'm telling you, he's a thief. Anybody who lie on what you took, he had checked here. We published those checks before. He denied his signature on those checks before 2020 campaign. He's a common criminal. I'm saying that to you. He's a common criminal. That's the budget he voted for.
Senator DeLong could just take you to court.
He's a criminal because he lied at $3.6 million not in the budget. He can't take me anywhere. I defy him. That man call me Zoko. You say I cannot take him to court? That's a criminal.
Why are you angry when you are not a Zoko?
No, I'm not angry. I'm being forceful. I'm being intellectual. I'm providing facts to you. No, not always. I said something. No, I said something. I didn't mention him, so they don't know I'm a medicine. Yeah, I'm a medicine.
What kind of medicine?
In a way that he has no integrity in life or integrity. He's in the crisis of integrity. He's drowning in the crisis of integrity.
So you think he's a fake?
He's not only fake, he's drowning in the crisis of integrity. I say he's a criminal, he's a thief. To take a $45,000 car in the budget to vote for it, not just to vote for it. And you then inform the people, because say everything you will inform the people on record for that. And he didn't say anything about it.
Maybe he did not vote for plenary pass.
Okay, the past he didn't vote. But why he didn't say it? Why he didn't say he voted for it? The records are there, gentlemen.
Final message.
Senator Delon should be treated as a
So guys on Capitol Hill, correct? They are one of the lawmakers, Representative Akara Gray, making the news proportional. We're going to bring Darius Delon press conference relative to what Representative Gray was saying. Come on, criminal. So like everybody criminal in our country. Okay, let's watch this here. This is quite fascinating. It's very, very alarming, and I'm not sure what we can do, but we will continue to give this sort of a conversation here. So let's look at this. I watched this over and over, both his and that of Senator Darius Delon, and I took into consideration a lot of factors. I critically tried to analyze their standing, their way they took the kind of conversations, their posture, everything. I took that into consideration. Let's go to Senator Delon and we can have a conversation. Okay, talk now, Senator, so we hear you. Okay, let's see here. Just bear with us. The recording there is okay.
Let me say good afternoon to citizens of Monterey County, in particular across the country in general, citizens of Nigeria around the world. Good afternoon, and thank you for coming. I haven't seen this number of journalists in a long time. So a press conference at the Capitol building, so it tells me that this is really, really important. Let's get straight to the point. Over the last few days, the public have been made to believe that some money has changed hands here at the Capitol building in reference to 30,000 for lawmakers. This allegation has brought public outcry, and I owe it a duty to my employers. My employers being the people who employ me with their votes, and I also owe it to my character, my reputation. Let me be blunt. I have received no 30,000. Senator Abraham Darius Delon, I have received no 30,000. Since I became senator in 2019, I took a 10,000 loan from GT Bank and I paid. Since 2019, I've not taken any loan. I don't even owe a social club. Anybody who say law,
thinking about starting this yet. Hold on, there's something that caught my attention. Let me see here. Let's go back here a little bit. Hopefully we can get that here. Let's see here. Let's hold on. Just bear with. Okay. Just bear with me. Something I'm trying to drive at.
Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, the media. Let me say good afternoon to citizens of Monterey County, in particular across the country in general, citizens of Nigeria around the world. Good afternoon, and thank you for coming. I haven't seen this number of journalists in a long time. So a press conference here at the Capitol building, so it tells me that this is really, really important. Let's get straight to the point. Over the last few days, the public have been made to believe that some money has changed hand here at the Capitol building in reference to 30,000 for lawmakers. This allegation has brought public outcry, and I owe it a duty to my employers. My employers being the people who employ me with their votes, and I also owe it to my character, my reputation. Let me be blunt. I have received no 30,000. Senator Abraham Douglas Dillon, I have received no 30,000. Since I became senator 2019, I took a 10,000 loan from GT Bank and I paid. Since 2019, I've not taken any loan. I don't even owe a social club. Anybody who say lawmakers are in the habit of channeling their bribe through banks, bank loans, and then government pays, it is an open challenge to anybody to bring me any source of loan that I've taken besides 2019, I think October or November, when I took a 10,000 loan from GT Bank. Besides that, any other, and I am giving a power of attorney to all the banks. I'm authorizing all of the banks to release any information that they have on me to the public without coming back to me for verification. I haven't taken loan. I don't engage in those stuff. If I should take loan, private loan, why should government pay? So those who say, oh, they're taking loan and hiding money through loan, the challenge is there. If you bring me any loan document from the bank and the payment is channeled through the government system,
He's combative, criminal, a challenge. I did not take anything. Gentlemen, here we are. What is really going on here? The distraction is the ruling establishment managing to steal the show, creating distractions, or what is really going on? Is the credibility in the house of wisdom diminishing or as perich? Why should we always get ourselves? Why should these sort of things always come? Or what is the hope it gives to the Liberian people that these people that we kept consistently entrusting with state power? I watched his interview, and fair to mention, I was just a little bit concerned with his posture when they start off. And it gives me a sense most of our political leaders, these people, they need an advisor. They need spokespersons, someone who will tell them what they need to know, not necessarily what they want to hear. And how to maybe when there's a damage control, or how to face the media, or how to debunk something when it comes back. It's not happening. Let me start with you. Pa Joyce, is there anything that is going on in our house, be it between Darius Dillon, Akaras Gray, and the rest of the folks, that still the Liberian people, they have been sidelined? We don't know who is telling the truth. At some point in time, we will know. The real thing will come out here. But what is going on right now? What is going on?
There are a whole lot of stuff playing out in the House of Representatives and the Senate. And those who represent the CDC-led government in the Senate or the House of Representatives, they see some folks as real obstacle or enemy to them. And they go personal with this kind of claim and conduct claim. Now, you saw Akaya Gray. What he was saying that it was personal because he said that I had referred to him before as Zoko. So he now is confronting that one and calling him thieves, criminal, what have you. Instead of people focusing on the issue, but it become a personality clash, a partisan clash. I defending my party. He's from that camp. But the question here is, Honorable Gray said that, hey, the money is in the budget. Gray, how will you call those around a thieves when you say your hand is in the cookie jar? You say your hand is in the cookie jar, so how can you refer to somebody as thief? You say you flag the issue, but you're receiving the money, which is not a genuine money for you to receive.
Is that a double standard?
That's double standard. All they're doing is double standard. Yeah, it's the thing here. I always say that it's not even constitutional for you to receive that money. Because according to him, there's nothing in the budget. I mean, there's no law that gave them that authority. It's unconstitutional to receive that money. The money has no oversight. It's used at your discretion. You, Greg, cannot accuse that of them because you're doing the same thing.
Okay.
But to go one step further, look how the guy talk to one another, how they address one another, Greg. If you are a representative and you talk like someone from Waterside, excuse me, not what, let me don't use Waterside, but someone from the street. What is the example you're showing the young people to follow? This guy voted for everything during the Ellen regime. Every bill, he voted against it. Every budget, he voted against it. I agree. But today, they are in power, he's voting for everything. Every budget, he voted for it. In fact, he was one of those.
Let me wear my paramount here, yeah? Go ahead.
Who led the removal of a certain justice for performing a constitutional duty. Kabila Janet. Akana Gray was the one who spearheaded that movement to remove a certain chief justice illegally. Because the Constitution clearly states that any judge, the judge in Chima, any decision he made in that Chima while he is in Chima cannot be held liable for it. But Gray championed that cause to remove that justice. Because why? He said that they failed. Not only here, when the CDC, their government failed that he entertained a motion from the late Councilor Bronsky about the election being fraud. But these are the people today sitting down. He, Gray, calling someone a thief. The money that, the 30,000 that he had received before, have Gray ever gave account of that money to the constituency he served? No. Then you want to ask another person why that person is not coming to tell his people. But you, who have been there before him, all the money you've been receiving, what is done in your district that you can point to? What is the oversight? So this thing is about personality. Who want to prove I'm defending my party, I will stand up for my party, but not for the Liberian people. Because if it were for the Liberian people, then you will see a complete transparency The House of Representatives had never been audited before. The Liberian Senate had never been audited before. So all the money people get, how can we trace it to know who is benefiting? Everybody you see that makes this thing, and this is the saddest thing about it. The Liberian people are part of this problem. These people go and say, I'm building school, I'm building clinic. But the clinic, the school is not in government name, it's not a public institution. It's all private. Your good old friend, Sir Joseph, this man come and collect all the ambulances carried to Monrovia. They say he bring charity work. Today the ambulances are all being run by the Ministry of Health from Sir Joseph. So all the duties, benefit he got from government, going to benefit here informally. The same thing, Tamil Fala.
Okay, let me hold you. Let me hold you there.
That was done bill a rehab or what center.
Let me hold you there.
It's not a public institution.
Okay, let me hold you there. Let's bring in my man Goya. Look, Goya, Sissy, here is the issue. You listen to the two gentlemen, both in the upper and the other ones in the lower. They are literally trying to say BT. What is going on here? Where is the credibility? Who is exacerbating? Who is creating this whole drama here? There are other folks that are getting messages that the media is also responsible for all of what is happening. Why? Recently we saw the huge flaw, infrastructures, businesses, homes, everything was, literally shut down. We didn't see a response team coming into place to do anything. But here we are. Akaras Gray, Darius Dillon, St. John's is taking over the airwaves.
So you asked me a question. Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Yeah. My network was going in and out. You asked me a question earlier when we started the show about what to consider, and I said education. And I can't feel but to say this is exactly what is leading to this thing. You know, the fact that we're here discussing this, and the fact that media houses spend their time when there are other newsworthy things that would have been reporting on the status of stuff in Liberia on this thing, I think is A, academic laziness, and B, we play, when I say we, I mean because I'm discussing it now, we play into the political playbook of the CDC. Look, if you tell me that a senator got $30,000 and the government paid him, that should be something very easy to authenticate. Very easy. That is not even a graduate level of research requirement on that. Very easy. But these people come with these lazy arguments, right? Like, you know, I'm going to piggyback on what Pat George said. Akaras Gray comes and say, yeah, I got $30,000. But oh, by the way, Abraham Dallas Durant got some too. Y'all go look at, y'all go to the Dillon. Okay. And then people started to shift to go to Dillon. And I'm going, yo, man. Here was one person yelling, I'm the roll. If it's stealing, here I am, I stole. But that man is on too. And y'all run to the man who they say is on too. That's where we run. You know, so for me, and you ask a critical question. So for me, when I thought about that, I started to think about credibility. I said, well, maybe the Liberian people in the media landscape has decided that Akaras Gray is not credible. And so he can yell all day that he's a thief. We say, yeah, well, we know you. If he points at anybody else, we'll go to that person because we think that person still got a modicum of credibility. And I think maybe that's why people kept focusing on Dillon. Because for the life of, I can't fathom why would Gray say that, yes, I got 30,000 and people and run to Dillon. Now you pointed at. And they ignore every other legislator. And go to Dillon, right? Remember, he didn't say I got 30,000 and Sir Joseph got 30,000 too, right?
What could possibly be the reason for which Dillon was negative?
And so here is the political playbook. The reason he runs to DeLon, the reason they run to DeLon is, if you look at what's happening right now with, and DeLon alluded to that, and I've been following that, is the CDC is focusing on Niba County, right? You saw this new play they're doing about Gary and stuff. The CDC is focusing on Niba County. When the Minister of State for Presidential Affairs and Money Spending was establishing these scholarship programs, they focus on Grand Bassa, right? Because they're realizing that Mosorado County is not a stronghold as they used to believe, given the fact that DeLon has beat them there twice, and Taylor Ure almost beat them in a district there. And the Akaras Gray man that's talking that DeLon beat his candidate in his own district. And so now what you do to regain a modicum of respect politically when elections come in Mosorado County is you have to try to at least drag the other man in the mud with you. So it's like you're wrestling with pigs now. And so when DeLon gets in the mud with Akaras Gray and they wrestle, then not because, well, you know, there's no more light, the Chinese light, they what kind of light. And so now we now can go back to reconsider the CDC. That is the playbook. But for I cannot understand why smart people, and I saw a lot of people writing on Facebook that had to go back and take back their words, could not just check to see if this is true. In fact, the Liberian Senate came out with a press release saying that they didn't have such money in their budget. They said the House of Representatives have it in there for them, but they do not have it in there for the Senate. And this is where I want to push back a little bit, my Papa George. Mm-hmm. The first branch of government, which is the national legislature, controls the purse of the country. Mm-hmm. The House of Representatives, as a matter of fact, controls that more. And so they can pass a budget and they can put in it whatever they want to put in it. They can put whatever they want to put in the budget. They have their constitutional authority. Once it passes, it is legal. Now, does it mean that's moral? No, it's immoral, but it's not illegal. So they can decide. That's how the legislators decide their own pay. They vote on their own pay increases, or whether to or not increase their pay. That is their right. That is given to them by our Constitution. Now, does that mean it's moral? No, it's immoral, but it's not illegal. And I think that if it is in the budget, and Akaras Gray got his, it's not moral, but it's not illegal either. But I can't understand why, when the people are suffering, and you, Akaras Gray, haven't gone to Paris to have a wedding. Talk about, you, Mr. Soe, just talking about having people tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. Talking about, people who are tuned deaf to their people going to Paris to get married and coming back, and without even trying to see how do I shed that shame, that guilt. You're coming back to get on the internet and say, look at me. I immorally took money, but now my wow, now man is with me too. Y'all go look at him. I think it's disgraceful. But I think this is where education comes to come into play, because I think that there should be people doing research, including us, media people, doing research to take Abraham Darius DeLon at his word and go at his challenge and try to find out there. And if Akaras Gray can provide the documentation, but if Akaras Gray tongue came notarized, for me personally, and I'm going to be blunt, I wouldn't even accept it, because this is the same guy who provided a documentation during the DeLon election that said DeLon signed for something. It was a check. And when they checked the check was forged. And when people came back and debunked him, he has not said anything. It is just amazing that he even referred to that same check situation in his diatribe. But you ask about, is there still respect in the legislature? You saw Akaras Gray yelling, angry, fuming. Who takes you seriously when you're that angry and discussing national issues? You saw the journalists were even trying to redirect him. He wasn't even taking that hint. Who takes you that seriously? But sadly, it's not just Akaras Gray. I mean, there have been people causing each other mind in the House of Representatives. I think I overheard that Representative Swap Kuku was insulting Yega Koluba's mom the other day in the House. So, it is sad for our people. But sadly, if we don't focus on educating our people on what their rights and responsibilities are to hold these people accountable, we are going to keep doing what I always talked about. And the last time I said this to a legislator, that we're going to be having the same situation where Liberia is just one big firma with a swamp, where the biggest fish, the biggest predator we got at Buka. Because then we just settle for minimalism. Because these people will continue to hold our people down, so that they are the ones that people look up to when it comes to whatever. You got people talking about things they got no idea about, but yet they claim to be intelligent people. Those are supposed to be the smartest people, simply because they close the country, they close the process, and so a few people have access, and therefore they created a swamp, a Buka swamp. And until they can open it, until our people can force to open the way, so that the Atlantic can run into Fiema, so that salt water can run into the swamp, so that other fish can come, so that Buka can no longer be predator and can be prey, so that there can be a competition, and you change the ecosystem. Until that happens, we're sadly going to be where we are. We have to change the ecosystem. We have to introduce foreign sources in our ecosystem.
So I said something, and you say you are pushing back. The legislature, they allocate money, but they're not supposed to disperse the money.
Yeah, no, that one you're right. They're not supposed to. I think it's finance minister that disperses it to them. So
yeah, the salary perfect, but to take any money for any project is not a function.
So
it's not.
No, I get that. If they're taking the money, but if the money is going through the regular government clearinghouse and it goes to the Ministry of Finance and Finance disperse the money to them, then that is how the system has been running, because that's how they get all of their other things, right? Because the problem here is, Mr. Soe, not Mr. Soe, Mr. George, you were hitting on something, and I wanted to ask that question because I'm ignorant to that, and I wanted to ask that question to learn, and I hope people who are watching us, somebody can educate me on that. In America, we have legislative auditors, right? Those are non-partisan career people who work in those places. And you were talking about audit. Do we have such a position in the Liberian legislature? Because I don't know, and I'm being frank here because I want to know. Because if we do have those positions, then we need to start asking for audit reports from those offices. And if we don't have those, then Mr. George, you onto something. There has to be a way to open an office that we can have people who can be able to look at is there graft and corruption in the legislature.
They have accounting office, the House of Representatives, Senate, they have it. But those people,
you're not auditors.
Listen, they are auditors, but listen, they are only there when the report comes from outside, like an entity, bring in documents. They go and look at it and say these are the figures. They don't have the power of what you say, like what do you call what the name of the accounting, what the auditor general, to say, hey, this year we'll audit the national legislature from 2001 to 2003. No, they don't have that power.
So, Mr. George, there's a simple answer to that question. It's not existing. If it is there and if it is not working, then why would we say it is there? But here is the thing. I
don't want to say problem for someone has said no. They have accounting.
Well, you know the taboo of this network here. We don't play into the hands of the people relative to what they want to hear. We need to tell them exactly what they need to do. And here is the whole thing here. It's so sad. We are responsible. The electors are responsible. Citizens, so-called advocates, commentators, radio hosts, podcasts, cooking kiosks, all of us, everybody responsible. And this is why we decided for us, we'll try to point out, even though we get under the skin of these people, but believe me, they will overcome it. It is ridiculous. It's simply because we have incited entertainment within the media industry itself than getting the actual news. So people now feel so much, it's like a social recreation now.
Yeah.
Focus on crazy thing. Dillon is not credible. Akara Gray is not credible. And we can all say all of them are even credible. Why all of this destruction and nobody? Dillon is the sitting senator of Mosorado County. Akaras Gray is a certain representative of Mosorado County. We all know what happened a few days ago in Morovia. The rain, the flooding. Did you see any of them going around to inspect to see what happens in their district or any part of the county? You saw any footage of that? You saw them holding any, hold on 1 second. You saw them holding any plastic bag as a relief interventions into the lives of the people? Well, here we are talking stupid talk, giving them stupid publicity, but we are doing it also to point out the irresponsible attitudes of some of these men and women in both houses of government. Dillon is not exempted. Akaras Gray, all of them in a basket of deplorable. You have the president. You know, I know, in this country, in any other country, when there is an emergency, when there's something that strikes the nation, what happens? I don't care whether you are away or wherever you are attending United Nations conference. Why do you think the president or the leader to return home to address the emergent situation that is unfolding? Your citizens come first.
Mr. Soe, I think that's the point Mr. Josh was trying to strike. The idea that these people have legislative projects, I think is absurd. I think you can go.
The thing, you carry your point. I don't, and I blame the opposition for that, for being lazy and for being greedy and for being not credible as well. Because first of all, we pay these people tons of thousands of dollars. We're giving them squash. We give, I don't know whether they're still getting there. They're getting gasoline. So what the hell this other engagement thing here? Who the hell brought this here? And they themselves. Here is the deal. In Uganda, during the COVID crisis, that's the only guy that I consider as a real, authentic, and genuine opposition to Bobby Wine. When Museveni brought that money, he said, no, this money is not for me. This money is for the people. It should be used for the specific purpose, and that is for COVID. What happens? He did not. But you have oppositions who wants to checkmate the government, who wants to be to get a white glove hand because some of them work in Fenny or whatever, no disrespect. And they decided to also take it because it's the same credibility that we coming to here. So
right.
We are also responsible for what is going on because they allow themselves to be entrapped.
I'm putting the whole group. That's why I said the idea that they have this legislative project money is absurd. And it's everybody who's taking it from Ellington up to now. But here is even a much bigger problem with that. When you pay people money to go have engagement, somehow you are helping. The government is funding these people re-election because you're giving these people money to go and engage with the people. And I'm engaging, I'm campaigning for re-election. So technically, we have just managed to put in our budget money for re-election. People, taxpayer funded re-election campaigns for these people. And I don't think that can be legal. But here's the bigger point, and I'll let Pat Josh come in. You were talking about the rain and the flooding in Monrovia recently. He said one person, I believe that politicians shouldn't be going around using their personal money, but they have legislative engagement money. They should have used that. If they took it, they should have used it. But to a bigger point, they are having the recast budget conversation in the midst of flooding going on in Monrovia. And I've not heard one of them say, how can we insert in this recast budget money for people to provide relief for people who homes got flooded, who became homeless and everything. Not one senator have discussed that. How tone deaf can you be? It's rainy. All of you said in Monrovia. What are you from? You're from Bombay County, Senator. You're from Lufa County. All of you are in Monrovia. And you're seeing the flooding. And you want to put this around the neck of George Weah alone. That is not fair. You can't do that. You are discussing, you are right now debating a recast budget. Here is your chance to put in that recast budget money for relief of those people. Number two, to build safeguards so this doesn't happen again. But nobody talking about it. You see what's happened recently, Mr. Soe? We're here talking about Dillon taking 30,000, like I was great, lying and everything around here, right? Because that's a distraction. If we as media people can really understand this distraction, we'll be asking them, what are you going to do about the people whose homes got flooded in these communities? How are you going to make sure that they are included in the recast budget for relief?
Now, Sister, here's the fun here. Yesterday, I think about yesterday, Desin Sibo of New Cruton came to the National Legislature and read a letter, presented a letter, communication to pioneer that, hey, there's flood all over the country, fire everywhere, and it's been happening for years. And everybody, oh yes, it's a national disaster. We got to talk about it. But not knowing, this guy from West New Cruton, we know, if maybe, I don't know, you know D12 High School, that whole place there, West Point coming down, West Point and Solomon George from the area there, the ocean have been encroaching on the place there. None of these guys, they never talk about putting money in the National Disaster Relief Funds. They passed budget. Money that they put there is just money for salaries and stationaries. Now today, they're saying, oh, next Tuesday they're supposed to bring in the Minister of Public Works, Lands and Mine, the National Disaster Relief Agency, the EPA.
Is it existing? Is it functioning?
That's what now, on paper, it's functioning. I mean, it does exist on paper.
Your National Investment Commission, is that functioning?
Yeah. So, but that's the thing. So, they do not give people any money for relief. What they put there is the salaries. Just how they do the ministry and agency. Most of them, they just put salaries there. That's it. That's the budget. So, now, yeah, as a representative come to say, oh, you know, we're supposed to bring these people here. But as sister said, you passing the budget. You don't put no money there for relief. Then you say you're going to bring the agent to explain, to say what? You are desperate, you say about 8, I don't know how many.
You know the kind of person I like, and kind of thing, then who to appear before they said it, they let chair cheapo.
Oh no, you will say something. So here's the thing here. Why you bring in the National Disaster Relief Agency when you don't get them no money? Last year, I think year before last year.
So now, okay, in the interest of fairness, with all of these things here, will we still hold the executive branch of government solely to say they are the only people that are responsible? The first branch of government is killing us. They are the people that are victimizing the Liberian people deliberately on purpose to enrich themselves. Just what you said. It goes back to the National Rehabilitation Center or Commission. Is that commission still alive? You see, lawmaker, government is inconclusive. Government is incomplete when all of the apparatus of government functionaries and agency are not functioning. This is why this is where the separation of power comes in. The executive have a part to play. The first branch of government have a part to play. The judiciary. But these guys, the 103 men and the women that are there, they are just there for themselves. And why? The reason they are doing that, because they have their supporters who are cheering them, celebrating them, elevating them, glorifying them, whatever way you think. Because one person does it wrong, and the other side that this time around is the victim, when you try to make that a point, they come back at you. And now you want to talk? And now you want to say, hey, when other people are about
it's the what aboutism, right? What about our time? What about your people? What about your did this? Is that what aboutism that we're doing in Liberia that's killing us? Seriously. And but I will answer your question. Absolutely not. You cannot hold the executive wholly responsible for what is happening, for the dysfunction. No. The first branch of government, you are the first branch of government for a reason. And if the first branch of government is dysfunctional, that dysfunction gives a green light to the other branches to be just as dysfunctional. Because you're talking about disaster relief. If when budget shows up at the national legislature, and people are really being sincere to look into those budgets, and if these people are actually, first of all, talking to their constituents before discussing those budgets, they will know from their individual constituencies what are the important things. So Solomon George, for example, will know that the idea of erosion and the sea and the sea threatening people's land will be a big issue. The idea of relief from rain will be a big issue. So when he goes to the legislature to look at it, the budget, he will look at it from that lens, and he will be looking for disaster relief. Where are we building dams? What are we doing to help protect these places? He will be looking for that in the budget because he had a consultation with his people, and his people are told him what's important. If somebody came from Lofa County, they will be talking about road construction, how our people get affected during rainy season, about clinics, how many hospitals are there in Lofa County, and how difficult it is to get people from Lofa to referral hospitals because of the roads. They will be looking at the budget from their frame because they talk to their people, but they don't do that. They give these people legislative breaks where they're supposed to go to their constituents. They leave and come to the United States, right? So how are you going to then? So when they show up, you put no money for disaster relief, you put no money for everything else, and then you want to call somebody that can't say it from you and say, oh, it just flooded in West Point, can't give me an account. You're lucky that man or woman don't insult you and walk away because you have control of the purse. And besides the purse, when you give the money, you also have control to check and see audit. Audit doesn't just mean whether they corrupted the money, but you can also see, are they working to their full capacity? Are they fully staffed? Are they overstaffed? Do they need help? So you get that audit and say, well, the disaster relief people still need to hire more people, or the disaster relief people still need more money. But you send money, you don't follow it to audit and to do audit to see how it's being used. You don't look at the ministries and agencies and see if they are functioning at full capacity and what needs to be done if they are not to get them at full capacity. Not doing any of that. So these grandstanding that they do are at the detriment of our people. There are people homeless from the rain, and now you're going to call people to come and sit and say, "Oh, come and talk to me. Your disaster relief. What are you doing? What did you put in the budget for them?" Shame on them for doing that. So this shame is not just on the neck of the executive. This shame hangs largely on the neck of the legislature. It should.
Is the executive executing the function? Is the executive administering too? Because they also have the authority with these other functionaries of government agency to make sure that they are also equipped. Are they doing that as well?
No. That's why we shift the blame sometimes. We say the executive and is headed by the president. What we're talking here, the president drive, he sees Monrovia, how flooded it is. Okay, the national legislature is not doing their job. Would you call the EPA director, the public works minister, lands and mine, and say, hey, what's happening in this community? What is the problem? And so, oh, sir, we don't have funds. We can't do the we want to do it, but there's no fund. He said, okay.
Forget about fund first. Let's see whether any technical survey ever gone out there. These tech
Mr.
engineers.
Mr. So, all the things the people doing, moreover, there's no feasibility study. It's all by their imagination. They get up there, they build in the 1 year. That is one of the biggest problems in Liberia. People just get up, they build it. They don't want even go to public works. Public works can say this thing, that's where constructed this or waterway. By the time people in the Bible, they say they take that thing and throw it away and move from here. Enforcement, all these things are lacking. And reason is because the people feel that government is weak. When government weak, that's what happened. Moreover, since before the war, since the war up to now, the entire sewer system, moreover, has been down. From 1989, when our war hit Monrovia, the entire sewer system has been down. It's now
the pipes.
So when it rained from Crown Hill, Broad Street, all the drainage that were there, they are all being clogged. The water got nowhere to go. Why when you say why they can't bring the managing director of water and sewer to say, hey, what can we do for you to unclog this sewer system, the drainage system in Morovia? That will help to get the water into the ocean. Nobody talking about that.
How do they do that? When they did that, it means that money they're going to be releasing to get this thing going.
No, listen, truth of it. I said it before. Why Ellen or this government, they had not concentrated on that, because to revamp the sewer system in Morovia, that whole lot of people you'll be putting to work, because the job is physical. That whole lot of people you'll be putting to work. But they are not concerned about that. They are only concerned, oh, my man, the Senate, in the representative, this is what they will do. They go to the guy who is on budget on that committee. He said, my man, I shall get $2.5 million. I will make it 3. We'll push for 3. So then, when you pay, you got to give me something. You got to give me $50,000, $100,000. This is how the guy do in Morovia. That budget is CISO. The people on those committees, the managing director go to them and say, hey, this is what we got.
Okay.
And my man, this is what we'll do. We'll do the equivalent. But the point you ask the executive, why would say they share something, but these are some of the reasons. The people who manage the agency directly work for the executive. And the executive want that is where the budget originated from. It is where the budget originated from. So the president should sit down and call his finance minister and say, look, this weather thing is global. Global warming is taking place. The rain that when we were born, we should get a not triple. So what are we putting in for the National Disaster Relief Fund? So just in case when places get flooded, these people can use that money maybe to set the people when the water recedes, they can go back and put some structure there for the people. If the executive is not doing that,
so let me ask this question.
But even one big part though, the National Army, the AFL, has an engineering battalion.
Right.
Yeah.
Are they funding them? Are they using them? Because I've known of some of them that have come to the US to train.
Yeah.
With the military engineering battalions here, and here the Marine Corps engineering battalion, the Army engineering corps, they build all these dams and bridges and stress test them and all these pieces. And so if we have that in Liberia, sitting at Edward B. Kessely barracks, why didn't and this is my fault with the executive now, right? Why didn't the executive put them out to go help? Or is it because there is not resources for these people? Because we have them. We have trained people in the army.
So, I don't know. The field system in the country is not of today, it's not of yesterday. And I have no idea as to when this thing going to come to an end. Even all of the people that are shouting, you put them there, going to be the same old damn old thing. This thing was stupid. We're not stupid. And we will never be stupid. I will never be stupid. Maybe they are. And that's why we are talking about it. So, what is the essence of having these subcommittees in both houses, gentlemen? We see here, and we're making some reference here because we consider ourselves a smart America. And somebody will say, why would you want to compare America with Liberia? Why can't we? It's the same sort of form of government. We have select committees. We have different committees, in both houses that have oversight responsibility on different agencies and functionaries of government. Why do you think these committees are in place? Do you think they just put in there as for ceremonial committees? And when you talk to some of them, our committee on this and that, our committee on this and that, I'm committee on this, I'm committee on ways and means. Are they following the ways and means? I mean, this is it's so bad. Yet, both people, the incumbent, those who even looking for the job, they are not doing enough to point out those ills that are happening. Instead, when their talk show host, when their supporters come out to share their 2-3 hours time, guess what? They put a defense wall, a wall of Jericho, to say here, our guy is doing the right thing. And they're not even telling her exactly what he or she is doing. Rather, they focus on the opponent's inability to lead. And this is where the problem that we are having. And that's why we've been talking here. And because the politicians, they are very smart, very calculative, innovative, and they have a creative mind. And I was asking your guy who you support here the other day, and he came up with the same political correctness. When will we see some of the faces of these people who want to? I want to know, I want to get a sense who will be the presidential press secretary to Joseph Boyka. I want to know who is the presidential secretary to Ellis Kume, to Awant Gonglo. I want to see some of their foreign policies advisor. You guys are the one helping to facilitate this sort of problem that we are getting, because these people, you shadow them, you play darkness on them. We have no idea who they are, where they are, which
advisor you should ask him.
Say it again.
I said, "By George, I see your advisor, so you should ask him."
You also a chief manager for Gonglo.
I don't have no
serious, gentlemen. This is serious.
No, but Mr. So
yeah, inactive.
You
want to carry your upstairs? You know, when the heat of the campaign were going on, right? You saw the road of Jane Saki. She was the face of the Biden campaign. One could make an educated guess that if when Biden is elected, this person will be mounted behind the president's office as the presidential press secretary. When Kuman ready, 55 people will talk at the same time. You don't know who is who. Boyka forget it.
But Mr.
People come in the defense. Kalasco, then they are all become presidential spokesperson. I mean, this is a crazy situation that we are in. Go ahead.
So, Mr. So, I think you are on a point there. I think every political presidential aspirant or candidate should at minimum have a kitchen cabinet. Now, does that mean that you come and announce it to us? No. But in the way that you function, in the way they follow, we get to know who's part of your kitchen cabinet. We can read and understand who will be a part of your kitchen cabinet. So you're right. Because if you don't start building that cabinet, that leads to the chaos that we had when the CDC took over from the Unity Party. There were a lot of missteps and all the other pieces because they didn't have a government already in waiting. When you're running an election to become a president, you should already have a government somewhat waiting, which is your kitchen cabinet, right? And so you're right on that issue that people need to be talking about. People need to be pushing people for that. Now, we're not asking them to list everybody that's going to be finance minister in this, but at minimum, we start to see, these people that will come out and expand and talk about your educational agenda, for example. We can start to know, well, that might be somebody in the education department.
Exactly. We'll talk about the economy. We should have a person.
Right. When the person will talk about the economy, we start to know, well, okay, so we'll start to get some idea. But you're right. Right now is every Tom, Dick, and Harry can get on and talk whatever and whenever and whatever. But I think a bigger point here that I wanted to stress is that the silence of all of these candidates and aspirants, and I say all, in the midst of this current suffering of the people in Maserati, and I'm thinking it's all over Liberia, but Maserati is the one we see on the internet with the flooding. I think it's sad. I am yet to hear one presidential candidate or presidential aspirant talk about how the people are suffering, and not just that, because it's easy to talk about that and blame it on George Weah, but what are your policies going to be if we were to put you in the executive mansion? What would you do to stop that? I'm yet to hear any one of them come up and talk about that, and that is sad. We can always just campaign against other people. Yeah, we all want George Weah out. That's the reason I'm not supporting George Weah. But then what? And that's one of the questions that Sidisha asked me. He said, okay, who's your guy? And I said, my guy is Stewan Gonglo. He said, okay, How is he different from George Weah? What is he going to do differently than George Weah? That is the kind of conversation our people needs to start having. When I say our people, I mean everybody who's running for the Liberian people to put them in the executive mansion. Whether it's George Weah going back, or Cummings, or Gonglo, or Boakai, or whoever, you know, that's trying to get there. This is when you start to lay out those policies, ideas, and let people start to look at it. What are you going to do to stop to minimize flooding, to mitigate flooding? And what are you going to do to save, if you are able to save West Point or Detour? What are you going to do to save that? If you cannot, what are you going to do to relocate those people? Those are the conversations our people need to start having at a higher level. And it's sad that they're all being quiet while our people are sleeping in the rain and they're being homeless. Shame on all of them.
Nobody else going one. Maybe if it happens, I'm getting ahead of my shadow. I never saw anybody going ahead to even knock on the door. Wait a minute. Do you still have mattress as a result of this floor here? But we have Akara's Gray. We have Darrell's Dillon. They are the same. They are the same. It is right within their constituencies. All of these things that we are talking about, they don't have for God's sake, sometimes with Mitch McConnell as a cuckoo hair guy, sometimes when the going gets tough and the tough gets going, guess what? They in Pelosi, they place a phone call. President cutting deal. Republican give this, give and take. But our guys, you never saw one day, and I don't think it will ever happen. You will never see Darrell Dillon calling to maybe Sergio say, let's go for lunch today. Akara Gray calling to who the other person from this place say, let's have a lunch today. You have this sort of time to open a room of conversations, regardless about which party you're in. That is not in the DNAs of these folks. It is not there, and it would never be there, simply because of lack of political tolerance. They just can't. The partisanship, more or less, takes a greater portions of their life than the country or the very constituent. Why you think John McCain left his sick bill? You think it was just only for Republican Party, or you think it was just for the Republican Party? No. First and foremost, its constituents and the country. The conviction that whatever he was doing it for the good of his constituent. Why you think Joe Manchin is a sort of a bone of contention? He doesn't care, not because of that, but look at all these people. When leaders stand up to their own people, they don't. And I don't understand why. They are elected. They are not appointed people that you can just fire them. But because they just do not have the guts. The last time we are hearing steady was done in Morovia, it was during the Samuel Doe regime. That by the year 2000 or so, this capital city was being relocated. What becomes of that? Doe die, everything die. So it is the same drum that we have in the country. When you're president, or when you die, or other visions, nobody wants to pick up that. Whether if it is good or bad, nobody wants to pick up that. And because we, the people, have helped so much to facilitate this craziness that is ongoing, and then later on we come back to say, knowing what I know. Yes, guess what? Because you did not ask. So you never wanted to know. You just have only one drive, because what you think that is in there for you. And we make 9 years decision without asking critical questions, without us knowing who going to represent or what they're going to why they are representing us. And we'll throw them in there. And then we expect they give you something, and you think at the end of the day, where you think they're getting the money from that they are giving you to build 5 to something? Of course, it has to be replenished. So whatever they take it from, they got to pay them, and then they start getting their own. And this is why when they get there, guess what? All the 4 windows on your car, they put that black stuff there tinted, and you just see the tire only spinning. They're done with you, because the contract, you are on a short-term contract. Whatever you want, they give it to you. So that's it. I pay you, and you give me your services. So it's clear cut. Amos Joyce.
Yes, we have said a lot, but I always say that I have been one of those on this platform. I've been calling for political parties to show us who the guy behind it. I'm tired of seeing the stand-up bearer. I'm tired of seeing the chairman. I want to see other faces, because That would give me a
Who are the
sense.
people Ellis Kumen get behind? Can you tell us?
Mr. So, don't ask me. I have been one of those who call on the ANC.
Why can I ask you?
No, because you know my stand. I don't shy away. You know my stand.
Is he telling us? Is he telling you anything?
I don't know Mr. Comey personally. I have not spoken to him. I'm just saying. I have been one of those on platform saying I want to see other people than Mr. Comey.
Are you concerned with that? You've been asking that. I know it's not happening.
If I wasn't concerned, I would not be talking about it every day. I'm concerned because I want to know who would be maybe the police director. If someone from the security center speaking, I would say, okay. Because I saw your content reader right now was speaking. So I knew that she would play some role in the Biden government.
We saw Susan Wright were more or less on the domestic side. So there was a probability that they were being at some Secretary of State for Domestic Affairs or whatever.
Carisha Biden, we know she was always in the press. Well, some of us knew exactly she would be in the arena of the press. That's why I've always said I want these parties to put out other people. But
that they're radio talk show, then there's press secretary then.
Yeah, here's the thing. I was talking to somebody. They said this is not America. They said some of the people are afraid. When they start talking, maybe they got their business, the government will go.
You know why? It's not because they are not trusted. They have an octopus list. They want to be in multiple places. That's all about it.
Those are some of the things. But to the point that we're making here, the government, these people, let me go back. From Tottenham time, that where this laziness started from. Tottenham time.
The man, he don't want to close the door, then he say open door.
No,
the door you open.
Listen. I heard my people calling something. They said it's so what PRO? What was the name? PRO?
Yeah, the town crier then.
They said the mercenary. No, the chief. He got there as an agent.
Yep, yeah. The PROs used to be those agents that spy on other people for the government.
Bring news to the president.
Yep.
Oh, may kill that country. I don't know why we having holidays losing government revenues.
The listener, that where the listener started from. These are some of the things that we have. Many Liberians today just want to receive from government. And you know me, Mr. So I'm one of those who are against it. I do not believe in no free stuff. I believe everybody, man or woman must do something to get something. But the mentality of Liberians, that government will do everything. And it is what these political people take advantage of them. They go back and go, oh, when you let me, I'll build a road. Oh, I'll pay your school fee. Oh, I'll build a hospital. A man sharing. By the time they get the power, those loops are closed. We have to start getting away from this begging stuff. That Cesar want to be represented, he got to do that for me. When Cesar get in the money, 25 people to a house. Someone want to get married to the city hall. Someone uncle died, they there. School fee, they there. They eat yesterday, their children eat yesterday. We have to start getting away from that. And how do we do it? We must government, national legislatures, must put in money that will go directly to those communities, that will help to improve those people's lives in terms of school, water, health, roads. That is what national leaders should be advocating for their community, not promising them, and in return to these people have become a mere beggar. You know, we have limited resources. We want quality education. We want sound education. You get out and go and make pronouncements, say, oh, nobody will pay 1 cent again. Government will take care of it. What you know in actuality, the money is not there. So why you can't tell someone, you know what happened? I agree with you. But you got to pay 5 cents so you can get this quality of education. I will pay the 20 cents. You just pay 5 cents. honest discussion with our people. Citizens are educated. Honest discussion with our people. Why in this country, districts under the portion on the referendum, they say 1 cent tax on cigarette or on alcohol for education. It goes to referendum. When they pass, everybody in a school district will pay that money as they go to buy. And that money is directed towards what? Education in that district. So since my son cannot get up to nobody from the next, oh, today uncle account to pay my school fee. No. Oh, uncle today we got lunch. No. Because what? We pay taxes and the government is what? Supplementing what we pay. And these are problems in Liberia, and we have to start having this honest conversation with our people.
So, honest conversation. Let me bring in Sissy here. We need to start having the honest conversations, but I'm spinning my hair here. How can we have an honest conversation when the same very politicians that could or should be quiz? The media is in here, they have their own media outlet where they find very comfortable to drive their talking point. They don't want to go somewhere where people are going to ask those questions. They don't want to go anywhere where you want to dig their corners. And that's why they are being so smart. They are building this media empire because this is where they want to direct their talking point. And they have people there who to push their soundbite. So how are we going to bring this thing to a dead end?
So I don't know who is constructing that table that we're going to say that to have that courageous conversation.
What you want to say?
Because to Mr. Soe's point, the executive has a propaganda machinery. They call it information ministry and everything else. And then you find that the legislators individually are owning radio stations and I think the only thing I haven't seen yet, I haven't seen the judiciary yet with their own radio stations yet. I don't know if they exist, but I haven't seen it yet. So when you do that and everybody go to their own little corner, go to their own little echo chamber and go to their own little station and just fume out craziness most time and stuff that is not based in facts at all. And then they talk to their own people, that agree with them. And those people listen to those channels only, right? It kind of reminds me of the Fox News people and the MSNBC people, you go to Fox News, Donald Trump is the second coming of Jesus Christ, and you go to MSNBC, he was the one that elected Satan, right? So it's like, you go where, people are going to get those information, and most times it is very biased. But to a bigger point about having these conversations, I think, though, it's going to take a while. But I think networks such as this one, Mr. Soe, can continue to put stuff out there and not be afraid to challenge people and not be afraid to come back tomorrow and say, you know what? We were sorry. We said this and our research shows otherwise. We apologize. And whoever we're wrong, we are sorry. We hope you forgive us. Instead of doubling down on when you know you're wrong. Right? I think there is something here. It might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, but eventually you'll get other media houses to start to follow you. And then you start seeing people will start to gravitate and start asking people, where did you hear that? On Fox News? Okay, I don't care about it. Where did you hear the MSNBC? All right, I know where you're coming from, right? And then we start looking for the middle. And hopefully media platforms such as these ones can be the middle ground where our people can come to actually get sensible information that they can digest and make sensible decisions. The other thing, because I won't let this go by easily, because Mr. George brought it up, and that's my backyard, is the idea of free education. In high school, in secondary, in middle school, down the line, absolutely it should be free. But when you start going to post-secondary education, you have to be very careful. It is a noble idea. I get it. It's a noble idea. But you have to be very careful. What would have happened had the CDC government held a community meeting, a coming of the minds of the people, and going from district to district or county to county, asking people what do they think. I think they would have been very smart had they just come up with a tuition freeze instead of complete taking away of tuition. It would have been a win for them.
Let me
To
hold
say,
you right
you know
there.
what,
So
next 5
let me hold you
years,
right. Let me hold you right there, and that's your area here. So I got to tap into A. So what I try to sense out here, it appears there were no sort of consultations, no conversation was held with educators, scholars.
Impromptu. Just went to visit and say, because they didn't want the children to strike. They said, okay, free education. I would have preferred investing in primary education.
But Mr. Josh, you know, the point they were trying to get at was that, you know, they have come as the quote unquote country people, right? Us. And now we need to open up education to our people. I like that. I like the fact that we remove barriers to education to all of our people. I like that. But what they ended up doing, Mr. Soe, in a roundabout way, was to create more barriers for our people. Because now what happens is that what they didn't take into account was that the government puts those institutions in budget. But you don't just take all the money and give it to the institutions. And those institutions have to run after the money over and over. And what has been keeping those institutions up has been those fees and the tuition. And so when you take that away and you're not bringing anything to help them keep up, you create a problem where classes that are supposed to be offered are no longer offered, or that they have way too many students in one class. So the students to professor ratio has increased dramatically, which is not good for education. Or the other part of that is the institution now is forced to increase fees because they can't charge tuition, but they can charge fees. And so it happened with Lofa Community College, where the people had to charge more fees, where in essence, the students were paying more now that there is no tuition than they were paying when tuition was in place. So I think that was again, when you don't open the room for a lot of people to come, when you don't build a bigger tent to allow other people to come in with ideas, that's what happened. In America, I remember when I was in college, and my student union, I was a senator for my student council at Texas Tech, representing the engineering department, and we were mad that because tuition kept going up, and we were about to stage a go slow action. What the administration and the board of region and us all sat and came out was, look, we will put a freeze to tuition increase. They put a freeze. So what this government would have done that would have still been a win for them is to say, you know what, for our 5 years or 6 years in office, you are not going to see an increase in tuition. Whatever you're paying right now is what you continue to pay till the end of 5 years. If you enter LU right now, your tuition, your amount is fixed. The government will take care of whatever increase is supposed to take care of. You know what that would mean? That would be a very easy lift for the government to take care of that. But then what the people would say now was that, you know what, so we have time, my tuition, you go up, the papa say, just start tuition, we're not increase it, we ain't increase it. You see how that would have been a win-win-win for the CDC and for everybody who wants to go to obtain post-secondary education. But what happens that Mr. Joyce said is, where was the table that people sat on to have these conversations? We're still looking for the table.
No feasibility study. Because
okay. The number is out there, 682-433-8802 to participate, or what you are considering. You don't have to go with our talking point, but there are a lot going on here. So it looks like instead of taxes being paid or government to collect taxes, royalty is being put into place.
Yeah, and here's the thing. One time I was passing by at the university, and the guy we were talking to, so I asked him, I said, your father owned a horse? He said, yes. I said, can you tell me how much your father paid as a real estate tax on that property to government? And the young man looked at me and said, what's wrong with you? I said, because you know what? You demand free education. But your dad got a Zean horse. He renting 4 rooms. So there's an income he getting. but he's not paying 1 cent to the central government. But yeah, but you're demanding free education. And you want not just free, but you want quality education. The young man look at me and say, something wrong with you. Where are you coming from? I say,
Okay.
well,
Let's
but these are the things that you people don't want to hear. And I said it. President, I've done the feasibility, as Cesar said. I would have preferred putting more emphasis on primary education.
okay, Pa George, let me pick out this distant call here quickly, and I will come right back to you. That's our guy on a temporary leave and endless leave. George Widow, good morning. Is that morning time?
Yes, it's actually morning time here. Good morning to everyone.
Good morning. How are you?
Oh, look, I'm doing great. Thank you so much. It's Saturday morning here. I think about 10 o'clock now. So, look, I've been listening in, and I really admire the way you guys put your process into discussing what is happening in Liberia. It's a really good thing. It's the right way to go. But yeah, it's my little bit of qualms, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me clearly?
Loud and clear.
Thank you. So I heard by George, and I'm really excited. I'm excited. The way I heard him speak passionately about people rushing to the legislatures, asking for every little thing that they want. In turn, making these people to look for money every way possible because they know that their jobs depend on these things. Just like when you are working and your manager is asking you for every little thing, like they are giving you tasks that are beyond your scope, but you still want to do it because that's your income. That's where you work to make money to feed your family. So the legislature or legislators will go all out looking for money everywhere to make sure that they can meet these needs of the people so that they can maintain their jobs. So let's flip it on the other side. This government came into power. What they have done, and you guys might have been mistaken because the only thing I know of is that there is free tuition at every public university. Students still have to pay for registration and other little fees. I'm not sure what the fees are, but they still pay some fees. But all of the tuition that has to do with the credit hours and everything is paid for by the government. That in turn, created more, entry, into the university, around Liberia. So which is a good thing. But yeah, it's the part that you guys are not pointing out that I think we're pointing out.
Mm-hmm.
You found out that because these boys used to rush across the road to the legislature from LU campus to go and beg for money from these legislators. When the government came down and said, okay, we are stopping, this. The tuition is free now. You can go to school. The government came back again, okay, because you used to come all the way here for WAEC. You are not going there anymore. We will pay the WAEC so you can stay, and study and make sure that you pay attention to what you are learning. And every day we find out that there is criticism about these policies. Look, there is no policy that will have that will be perfect. Every policy, most policies are made and then they are amended and tweeted until they get to where they think it's okay. No policy is perfect. But if we continue to criticize everything, usually it does not offer well for even those who want to venture into making these policies. Because anything that will happen will be criticized. It's true. The policies they are not flawless. We understand that the case still go there for maybe for the activity fees. They still go to but the breading is reduced. And when that breading is reduced on the legislature, then of course we can now question them why they should be corrupt, why they should be taking envelopes. You see it? So I think this government is doing quite well in reducing the amount of stress or financial constraints on its people. And Pat George spoke about putting policies in place that will take money into communities. Pat George, you said it quite well. People need to work. Everyone wants to live in Monrovia. I was in Monrovia a few months ago. It's overcrowded. It's overcrowded. People need to move away from Monrovia. And guess what? This government is making the roads good that you will leave Monrovia and reach to Harper the same day. And when that happens, you can live in Harper and just like you are living in Monrovia, and things will be better. But this takes time, and we need to give the government
what is the time? Talking about time, what is the ideal time frame? Because I kept hearing this time since almost how many years? What is the ideal time frame, Mr. Widow?
Okay, thank you. And look, that's what
When are
that's
you
what the
coming
problem
back here,
is.
sir, by the way?
The time.
When are you
Okay.
joining us here?
Say that again.
When will you join us here? Why are you left? Is that your folks tell you to go, or you just left like that?
No one told me to go. I've just been facing a lot of personal issues, and I
Okay.
just want to iron them out before I can get out there. But I still listen to the show. I think you guys are doing
Yeah, that's
an
important.
amazing
Yeah, go
job.
ahead.
And yeah, anytime when I'm ready, I'll let you know, and I'll be able to come back. But look, time is relative, and I understand that. But what we also need to have in mind is that what is damaged for almost 100 years cannot be fixed in 4 years. What was misplaced, cannot be put in place for such a short period of time. We still need the second term in this government. Trust me, if the Liberian people gave President George Manneh Weah a second term, that country is going to turn 360-degree, and you will be surprised how it has happened. Let me tell you one thing. I know politics and I know politicians. I know that President George Weah knows that whatever he does now, he's not fighting for no re-election. President George is a guy who wants Liberia to be a better place for every one of us. And once he knows that he's not fighting for re-election, he will not care about who is in the way of development. He will develop Liberia and make sure that he puts things into place. But for now, the man's hands are tied. If he now wants to put everything into place,
what do you mean by your hands are
yes,
tied?
sir. Okay, let me tell you something. I was in Liberia, and what happened? Someone is selling on the road. When you say don't sell on the road, they say I will not vote for you. And guess what? When that person does not vote for you, you cannot have that power to move them off the street. And then they will listen to the person who will say you can sell here. You see it? And that makes the country bad up. Let me tell you, representative, go to the people and say, my people, you make backyard garden. They'll say, oh, the one who put you there for will not vote for you again. Somebody else will come and say, you don't need to pay back, I'll give you money. I'll give you a better rest. And then it will vote for that person. Liberia will not develop with that. So now President George Weah, anything he says now to put things in place,
So
let
me ask you this question here. Let me see. Maybe our man's Sister, you want to come in?
Yeah. My brother Widow, how you doing? Hey, I have a, can you hear me?
Yeah, hearing you. Go ahead.
Okay, I have a quick question for you on the issue of the free tuition and opening colleges, post-secondary schools to people who could otherwise not afford. I get that, and I applaud that. But do you think it would have been wiser to take a more detailed look at that before rolling it out, in that, knowing that now you are going to create a lot of demand, right? So say LU, for example. LU only has a finite space, and you only have a finite amount of professors. You didn't hire more professors. You didn't create extra campuses, but now you have a larger influx of students coming in. Do you think that should have been looked at also from that perspective, that now the teacher to student ratio is going to increase, which is not good for education, and you still have the same limited structure, the same amount of professors, but now the amount of enrollees just increased?
Thank you, Mr. Sisi. And that's a really good question. But here's what I got to say to that. That's why when the president made that announcement, he did not say just LU. I got two of my brothers who just graduated from TU, Tubman University in Marion County, just a month ago. They graduated from there. And I think that policy helped immensely because my bottom line was threatened, by their education. But because of what the president did, those boys just graduated, from TU. They did not come to Monrovia to attend. They stayed right in Harper and finish their university degrees. Now, one is going to be going to Grand Crew to work there. The other one is in Monrovia already looking for a job. So you see, it was not
Mr. Widow, one second, Mr. Widow.
Mr. Widow. Argument that can stand the test of
Mr. Widow. I use LU as an example.
If you go to, there are so many colleges around.
Mr. Widow,
we should not look at the downside of the policy. Let's look at what is possible, what is helping, because it's adding more knowledge and more.
Mr. Widow,
you can say, there are the same amount of teachers and more students. So teacher to student ratio is going to be high, and the quality will not be that good. I understand that, but that's why the president did not limit it to LU.
But Mr. Widow, I was only using LU as an example. All of the other universities, they have the same fixed assets when it comes to teachers and buildings. So if you have new people, because all of those colleges were still operating, right? they were operating before George Weah came to power. It's not like there were new structures that were built in new universities. So those universities already had students enrolled, and they all had their own capacity issue. So I want to use LU as an example, but that is something that stretched the structure of all academia through all Liberia. Because even Lofa Community College, where we have been funding, they had the same issue with an influx of students, and the students to teacher ratio was high, and the teachers couldn't do it, and it was just not feasible for quality education.
Okay.
So,
with
so
the
you
30,
have-
with
yeah,
the
go
30
ahead.
seconds, let me pick up other calls here. Thank you so much. Let me go
Thank
to this
you.
one here. Okay, let me go to what? Everton's or Editon's? Kenenat, 780 number 505 today. Pape from I will call you back. The gentleman will call you on WhatsApp, so I couldn't match it. But let's go to Canada and hear from Canada. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Go ahead.
Very good. I'm Lawrence Flocky. I'm calling from Edmonton.
Welcome
Canada.
to the show.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about the issues regarding the $30,000.
They gave you some, my man.
My man didn't give me nothing back.
Oh, I see why you want to talk about it. You're going to get some, you're not talking. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah. So I'm a little bit disappointed, especially in the supporters of the opposition. You know, I contributed my resources, my time and energy to the election of Senator Tyree Dillon. I was a member of the Friends of Dillon.
How much you pay?
I'm telling you about. So
They not black you, they black you, eh? Because a lot of them told us that they black them now. They black you? Yeah, you like to invest in Fantine there. Go ahead, my son.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is we gotta be fair.
Right.
We gotta be critical of our own, you know, and I hate deception.
Right.
You see, we were anticipating a new Liberia, a change in the system and the structure, a change in the way we go on the country. But that hasn't happened. So if you look at the current budget, for example, the debate, you know, and there are a few things that I read on there, I'm like, oh, what's going on here? The senators and the House of Representatives, they have approved a budget that includes $3.something billion for legislative engagement. Right? And I was single out Senator Dillon because I voted for him and I expected something different. So they approve of the budget, and that amount is allotted to every representative, every senator in the Republic of Liberia. And then a few of them come out and say, oh, you know what? I haven't received the money yet. Yeah, but budgeting is not about what you receive.
Right.
You all know what budgeting is about, right? It's a projection. So this is a amount I'm going to spend in this fiscal period, right? It's a 12-month period. You can spend it today, you can spend it 6 months to come. So if that amount is allotted to you, it's up to the agencies, the department, and the individual senators to decide how and when to spend the money. So even if you haven't received the amount, that's not the question. The question is, it has been legally approved. Even the finance minister doesn't have the right to transfer what is legally approved for the senators to another department. He can't do that on his own. So even if Darren Ziller, I believe he hasn't received the money, and that's the corner thing. He said, you know what? I won't receive this money. I won't go to the bank because the government doesn't even have the money. If you want it, you got to go to the bank to credit and they'll pay the bank balance. That means the government does not have this fund. So it's an escape route. You can say, you know what? I won't access the credit facility. I will wait until the government can pay. And you don't have to sign a check. They could deposit it into your bank account unknown to you. That could be 6 months from now.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it doesn't change the fact that the amount has already been allotted. That's what the budgeting process does. It allots to agencies, department now, to senators and representatives. You can't change the process. And it's written in the budget, clear and simple, that the allotment has been made. That is the question.
Right. Okay. So
So
say
to
you
come have a press conference and deceive the entire public and say, oh, I am not. Forget it. It's a
that
deception.
press conference, it was so ridiculous. You could see very uncomfortable going back to what he started with insurance and all of that instead of getting to the issue. This is crazy. But anyway, say you don't tell how much you pay. I will find out roster.
No, I
All
will
right,
love
man.
it. Whatever, bro.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you
very
so much.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Omen Flomo.
Yes, sir. How you doing?
I'm okay. How much you got from the 30K?
You say what?
How much you got? How much you receive?
You say how much I got from where?
The 30K you got some?
Oh no, I didn't get anything, but I'm waiting for DeLon to get his. Then I'll get my cut from that.
Look at
Because
that.
what
Only
DeLon
you
should
can get
have
it from.
said to the
Go
people,
ahead.
yeah, what DeLon should have said to the people, was that I have not received my 30K yet. He should have added the word yet. Y-E-T. It's
Right.
very important. So you see, DeLon is very calculative and it's very smart. DeLon telling the people I have not received it. So maybe it's true he has not received it. Does it mean that he's not going to get it? Of course he's going to get it. The money can be there. It's what, 3.6 million divided by 103 is about 34,900 and something, right? So to be sitting there, he can get it next week, he can get it next month. So if DeLon say he has not gotten the money, or he has not taken any tax, I believe him. But he should have added yet, Y-E-T. So the fact that he did not add yet, he's deceiving the people because why? When that money is budgeted for and is passed, it's now law. It's divided into them. His is there. He's not going to give it back. The government is not going to take it back. So whether DeLon takes it next week or next month or wait for 6 months before he takes it, he's still going to take it. And in conclusion, you see, DeLon, he's very deceitful. When they were budgeting for that money, DeLon was part of the discussion. DeLon knew very well that that money was going to be there. He knew about it. He didn't come to tell us. He never had a press conference to say, hey, y'all listen, folks, we are debating about $3.6 million. That is $34,900 for each of us. We are debating on it. I don't want that money there. I have told them they shouldn't put that money there because the last time we put it there, we stole from the Liberian people, and I had to apologize. I had told Akaras Gray and Thomas Fala and all of them, and Mr. The other senator, I've told all of them not to put it there, and they are still putting it there. So my people, I will be in the minority. I won't vote for it, but when the majority passes that particular bill, I will take it and bring it to y'all and see what we'll do with it. But DeLon did not say anything. He did not even crack a teeth. He sat there, he signed it, he voted for it, and then when the money came out, he said, I didn't take it to the taxing. Listen, he should have said, I have not taken 10,000 yet. Yes.
Thank you, sir. We're going to have that conversation. Thank you. Let me go to this number here, 717. That will be our last caller for the day, and then we're going to be cutting it off. 717. I think there are a lot of logical analysis here, but they Omen here. I don't know that real Omen or young man calling yourself Omen from, but we'll find out one day. I'm asking. 717 number 2909. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Zoe. How you doing, sir?
Good.
This is just the recording from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Davis, welcome. Go make a point.
Yeah, I listened to your podcast and I listened to the CDC group and the other group. What I really don't understand in Liberia is everybody would say opposition. The opposition community are not together. They are from different political parties that in our house, so they will never agree. Even looking at the LP people, they can't even agree among themselves. What about the Green Unity Party, Green LEP, Green EDP, all the PP will agree there. All of them will not agree. So to me, CDC is in majority than the opposition. To me. Because if CDC people, they 10, they can agree.
Who responsible for that? Who responsible for that? Who responsible for that?
Because they are from one party, they're the ruling party, so they will agree with their policy, their senior policy.
What is the mission?
All the other people that they are not ruling party.
So they don't have to be a ruling party. What is the missions of? What is the set? What is the goal? What is the target of the opposition? What do they want to do?
All of them go there on different missions.
No, what do they have? There's a specific question I'm asking here. Is there anything they have in common that they are trying to achieve? That's what I'm asking.
The common thing here should be Liberia. How to Liberia move forward? It should be the common thing, but it's not there. That's not what it's there for. They're there for their own self. They're not there for the Liberian people that voted into power.
Who now? I'm talking about the opposition.
The opposition, when I said they can sue one another, then you think they will be there for what? Yeah, they're not there for anybody.
They can sue one another. They're not trying one another.
party people, party chairman, all there, they're doing the same thing.
All right.
So we see who they're going to listen to.
Okay then. Thank you
It's very
so
hard,
much.
but I see people like busy on, they don't say. But if you listen to Prince Moyi, who is the co-chair for the Senate, for finance, for the Senate side, maybe he misleading the senator. Because he's saying he never passed that budget in the Senate portion of the
All of them,
money.
all of them giving this sort of guanuton here, but we will find it out. The real thing will come out.
If you were senator and Primo, who is the finance man, say he never passed the budget, not part of the Senate. So what you will say? You will believe what the man saying? Because
Okay.
he had in there.
Thank you so much.
Example, you holding your radio station. You tell me the thing not part of my radio station. You guys will not believe you.
All right. Thank you so much. Okay, guys. There's a little bit shift here, and now we're going to just talk about it briefly. And I think Sissy perfectly articulated that point. As long as it's been passed, it's been voted, whether we put it in a sort of bubble glass here, it becomes a law. And government processing of check, this sort of thing, it takes time. Now, Flomo here, sometimes, he made a critical point here. It takes time. It will be 1 month, 2 months, 3 months down the road. I am what I voted for or against, as long as it passed, I am entitled to it. And he made a point here. Say, I want you to tap into that part. George is going to tap into that. Okay, he voted for. He did not raise a line when this whole thing was being initiated. Now he's being accused because Akara Grade 2 or whatever, who other people trying to get ahead of their shadow. We don't know whether it's going to take 2 months, 3 months for this whole thing to be processed and be put into their various accounts as they did in the past. Now he has come. And if it is proven that he voted for, he agreed, he did not raise any alarm. He did not talk about it until at such a time now it's being reported that he got his. Even though we're taking off his word, I wish he gave me the opportunity to talk to him to get an in-depth insight. And that's unfortunate that what they don't do, because when you reach out to them, they have their people to talk to. They say, don't go to this player, don't go to this player. In fact, all of them have their own packets. Sissy, what could be the political consequences if we found out down the road, indeed, it was voted for, and government has their own processing of when to process checks and all of that, whether that 1 month down the road, 2 months, 3 months down the road, and it goes into his account. What could be his fate?
So, here is, before I answer that question, I think the last caller, the most recent past caller, made a point here. Prince Moyi, because I listened to Prince Moyi and I read the communication from the Senate communication section. Okay. And they are saying to us, the entire Senate is saying to us, that the budget passed did not have an allowance for senators in it. The 30,000, there was nothing for senators. They had it for representatives because the House had put it in there, but the Senate refused to put it in there for their senators. That's what the Deputy on Ways and Means and Finance is telling us, and that is what the official communication from the House of Senate is telling us. So I think for now, all we have to do is either go and dig further to prove the entire Senate wrong, and Prince Moyi and Darius Dillon included in there, and find a documentation to prove them wrong. Otherwise, if there is nothing to prove them wrong, we just got to wait and see how this thing breaks. But now that brings me to your question about what happens if down the line, 6 months from now, money gets deposited into Darius Dillon's account. And then what is the break? What is the fallout? I say nothing. They elected Dillon for 9 years. In politics, 9 years is a lifetime for people to forget. And I say nothing if if CDC wins re-election in 2023, then the opposition, I like what the other caller said, because we always talk about opposition as if we are a monolith, like everybody that is not with CDC automatically wants the same thing. And that is not true, because if it were true, we would have only one other political party. We wouldn't have 500 other political parties, because I believe that political parties are political ideologies, and because the ANC ideology and the LPP ideology don't mesh, that's why we have a LPP and the ANC. And so we are not a monolith. And so when people always say the opposition, I say everybody who is not part of the CDC somehow believe in one thing, I think that's unfair. But having said that, if George Weah wins re-election in 2023, then the opposition, the people outside of CDC, will still be looking to maintain Musselwhite County. And Musselwhite County historically has always been for the all party that is not in power. And so I think DeLong will still have the goodwill. Now, if the CDC doesn't win in 2023, then DeLong will be in problem, because now it will be looked at, even if it's not the Liberty Party that's in power, he now will be looked at as being a part of the establishment. And then all of these things about he lying and all the other things will come out to bite him. But 9 years, Mr. Soe, in politics, it's a lifetime. There's a lot of things that can happen when people forget what happened.
And I agree with you. How long do we even stay on this sort of conversation? By the time, even whatever comes out tomorrow, I'm not hoping for anything, but by the time it comes out tomorrow, the next 3 hours, some crazy thing comes, and news is all about current events, something that is taking place. We're going to bury that and jump to another thing. Amos George.
Yeah.
Is the point raised by Pape Flomo, is that a valid point?
It is a valid point, and my senator, Frank Moyo, I listened to him, and the honorable senator never gave the facts. He was dingling all.
He wants to welcome to the.
He was dingling all around, beating around it, but he didn't come, because the question here is that he said that money was not put there, but the figure remained the same. $3.6 million. It was the same figure last year. So if that was not put there, then what brought that figure to the 3.6 million? Now I heard someone ask me, or maybe
what brought that here? What's the essence of this committee's room? These things should go in a specific committee room, right? For conversation before it can even come. And I'm concerned with all of these leaks that is ongoing. Anyway, we can't stop that. What is the essence of this committee room, that this discussion must take place in the committee's room before he can even get on it?
No, but Mr. And one was saying, so 3.6 million was last year. That one they received that 30K, whatever. This year, the Senate budget remained the same 3.6. So what my senator was saying, that they all agreed, the senators, that, hey, we're not going to take this money. But then the senator could not give a breakdown how the 3.6 million still remains there. Now he tried to say, hey, the vice president office, the president pro tem office, so these are numbers you have to give me. But you are a co-chairman of the Ways and Means Committee. You are listening to the conversation. You should have those facts to tell us, or to tell the Liberian people. All they did was give different nomenclature to those figures. It remained there and just gave it, move it different place and gave us something.
But they didn't question it.
No, I mean, if at all, yes, so that's it. The money there. The money is there. Since 3.6 million.
They owe me that trouble.
No.
The countries that are trouble countries. So what do you think the inhabitants would do?
So what they
trouble.
Give those items some nomenclature. Hey, this one, this one, but it will all amount to the same 3.6 million, and they will get it. Now, the question, not a question, but yes, a serious thing. They said that the money, you can go to GT Bank, 30,000. You can take like a loan. GT Bank will give you the money, but they will give you 26,000 instead of 30, because The 4,000 is interest. So because like they are financing it, so they will take the interest off and give you 26,000.
I think
That
I
is
think, lady, I think I need to go run for senator position and grind you there.
that is you don't want to wait for when the government will have the money, physical money in the bank at the time. So you go ahead and say, hey, bank, yeah, look, you know the budget. I got 30,000. Give me the 26 and you take the full whenever the government pay you. That's it. So that senator will take that money. No account, because it will not be that the senator $30,000 given to him, but it will be a loan. You see how the guys are smart? It will be a loan to that senator. But in actuality, it's the 30,000, the community engagement that he's receiving now for. So these are the way these people are so smart to crock the Liberian people. And my honorable senator, I'm still waiting for him to get more clarity. Because if that money was not put there, what carry the budget up to the same 3.6 million now?
The man, he from your country, right?
Yeah.
I try calling. Maybe I can speak the Bella. Can you call him and speak some deep Bella so he can come here? We can have a conversation.
Mr. George is making a very good point here. I would really like to see a detailed line by line.
Yes.
To be able to make additional comments. But I think though what is troubling, if what Mr. George is saying is true, and I respect him, and that these senators go to this bank and take and have this kind of a negotiation, which is almost
crazy,
more than 10% interest, and the government is paying that. This bank is funding our budget in order for us to pay them more money.
Yeah.
I think this cannot be legal, man. I mean, even if it's legal, it cannot be moral. That you're telling us that we don't have the money, but you're going to project that we should pay you this, knowing fully well that we don't have the money, and that you will go to a bank, and that bank would then give you money, so that now you indebt us, the people, to their bank, when you, the legislator, pass the budget knowing that we would not have the money, yet you put this burden on us, knowing fully well that we can't carry it, and then you go and you outsource that debt to this bank, and now we become indebted to this bank at that high percentage rate. Right, that is sad at minimum. If that is happening, that is very sad. That is despicable.
He said it. Honorable Akaya Gray said it, that once a budget passed, a senator can go, or representative can go to the bank and say, "Hey, it like something to do. It like a normal transaction to know." So the manager will say, "My man, hey."
Okay, so
that reminds me of back in the day when government employees.
Contention here. Prince Kamara is saying here, it is legal but unconstitutional. We're playing the two hands games here. Pull one for inside, pull another for here, because you have something that's going to back your argument. And it's right. This is like putting a bone in one's esophagus. Knowing fully well it is big, you can't swallow it, because at the end of the day, you're going to go for surgery.
But Mr. Soto, I wonder, I know it's legal, you can't sue the individual senators. And I think the constitutionality piece, Mr. Kamara has a point there. I wonder if a citizen tested the constitutionality of this by going to court, and having the judicial system test this out, this issue and the other issue of giving you money for legislative engagement, which is in essence taxpayer funding your re-election campaign, which is unfair to other people who are trying to challenge you because they don't have access. The government's not giving them the same money. I think there has to be somewhere we find some citizens that can go to court on this issue and actually allow our Supreme Court to look at this and tell us if this is constitutional. Because once it gets passed, it is legal, but we got to start testing the constitutionality of these things. And the last piece, when we're talking, the issue of that going to the bank and get money reminded me of back in the day, what the poor government employees in the countryside used to do. LPA. They go to these Lebanese merchants and they almost like take all their paycheck. You know, you go, you want a boombox, and it's worth more than your paycheck. So they give it to you, and then they charge you sometimes 40% interest on it. So you now your paycheck come, the paymaster give them all your money, and now you got nothing. You just got to go back again, credit some more again. So it's like you're in this web of debt with them every time. You never get out of it. And there were teachers that I knew that never saw their own salary. They were always just taking LPA.
So, is it fair to say, based on the analysis and all of the surroundings, the pros and cons, and what we know so far from the face value, that these banks are sort of money laundry being facilitated by insider within the GOL or other people in high places? Money laundry equivalent to that?
No. Here's the thing here. The bank, you go to the bank and say, look, I'm expecting 10,000.
The same bank that gave Wolokoli that printed money, right? 200,000 plus.
When you see the document here, the same Wolokoli.
Was it Wolokoli or was it how do you call it, the Samuel McGill?
Yeah.
No, Wolokoli.
Who said it? This and
everybody get a piece of thing inside of everything.
Yes, so it's not money laundering because it's an open thing. It's not, they're not doing it secret. The bank is saying you got money coming in. So if you want me to give you this is my interest. And you sign for it. So
where all of these advocates,
what is wrong? What is wrong is that the legislature, to me, after that, they are violating the law because that money is a public fund. You now got authorization from the people to go and get that money in advance to pay that interest.
Okay.
And as I said, saying, it's not time that I will start to test this thing because I said it before. It is legal. But in the Constitution, there's nothing there like that. So the only person that can settle the issue is the Supreme Court. If someone raises the issue. So it's the Supreme Court.
Are you willing to go to Supreme Court? You're a citizen of Liberia. You want to go to Supreme Court?
They didn't pass dual citizenship, but they can go in and get standing.
The man is a citizen? You want to start trouble here?
Yeah. But it's no, but it says it.
You don't have a standing, but
there was a case in Liberia. The Supreme Court said once you were born, like
you're pushing the soundbite of the liberal here.
You don't have a standing. You can sue.
The Supreme Court did rule on that one. So if I go there, the only thing is that I must be heard. That's what the law says. So
okay,
the Supreme Court in the Jallo case was looking at the process. It was not whether dual citizenship is legal or not. It was the process by which somebody's citizenship was revoked.
So, but the bottom line,
gentlemen, time has caught up with us here. But let's throw a little bit of politics here in all of the two. I think we'll talk with 1 minute. The guy is taking a complete survey. CDC transitioning herself named to be the turning point in the 2023 meeting the old folks warming group, addressing, speaking. Are they gradually and slowly taking the show? Elizana Kome, your man, is he still in Germany?
No, Kome should be here. I think he should be in the state, but now.
What is he doing here? He's supposed to be around Plibo, Kamyaken, and all of those places.
Mr. Soe, let me be real with you. Politics is expensive. And in Liberia, it's not like here where I can donate $5 to the DNC or whatever. Liberia is only a few people that fund that political machinery. And if you are not prepared, George, we are sitting on the government's coffer. They're sitting down there. You saw what all the news we heard from Lofa, that the unit might not have money to pay this, to pay that. So it is why I understand he's here, he's supposed to be going back, but you got to raise money.
What is the future of this whole Sissy?
Okay, yeah.
What is the future of this opposition?
Well, the opposition is not.
There's not
it's not one opposition. There are so many political parties in opposition to the current government. But we all know it's a given that George Weah is going to, at minimum, go to second round. I think the question that the collective group that is planning to unseat George Weah so he does not win a second term has to be doing is thinking about how do we run campaigns so that when any one of us make it to round 2 with George Weah, that we have not poisoned the well so bad that that the other parties' voters would sit home and not come and vote for you. And I think that's a bigger question that needs to be answered. And I think that all of the political leaders, including my guy, even though he's just an aspirant, I think this is where they're all failing. They're not calling in their attack dogs. They're not getting these people to discuss issues and leave out personalities. And so people are discussing personalities so much that it's becoming just acrimonious. And I think it's turning some people off. So that at the end of the day, and I'm going to ask a hypothetical question here, does the ANC really believe that if Alexander Cummings go to round 2, that Joseph Boakai and Henry Costa will come and raise Cummings and campaign for him? And the flip side to that is, does the Unity Party actually believe that if Obed Boakai makes it to round 2, that Alexander Cummings and all of the other people here that spew all the venom will be able to go to Liberia with the same and raise his hand and tell people to vote for them? The way things are going right now, no, absolutely not. It's not going to happen. And so when you ask the question about what is the status, that is the status. And it's going to take actual people, men and women, to kind of come together and say, look, we all disagree. That's why we all different political parties. We all have different political ideologies. We have different ways of moving Liberia forward into the future. Why it is true that we all disagree, we have to remember that I disagree with the ANC on policy, on this issue, on budget, on the economy, on education, on this. And here is how we differ. Here is what I push for my candidate. Versus calling Cummings out of his name, or calling Boakai out of his name, or calling anybody else out of their name. Because at the end of the day, there is no one opposition political party that's going to be able to deliver a technical knockout round 1 to George Weah. It's not going to happen. And so we all need everybody. We all need one another.
And the reason I ask this question is delivery. We're monitoring, talking to folks close to all what is happening here. Senator Prince Johnson introduced the president war play. War play is a play in Nima County when he broke rank with the NPFL that gives birth to INPFL. That is significant. It is huge. A lot of conversations going on behind the scenes. We do not know the authenticity of those conversations. Is there push by Prince Johnson for someone within the NIBAD belt, potentially, that will go under the government of President George Weah in the next election? Prince Johnson is in it to the dead end. No one should overlook that. Johnson, he is who is. However, there's a risk side of it.
I was about to say that's a coup that will backfire in Bone County.
There's a risk side of it. If Bone County, Amos Joy, the play, I know his temperature pressure is rising now, his cholesterol, everything is going up now. If Bone County, a CDC decided to somersault on Bone County by letting the daughter of Bone County to go, Joel Howard Taylor, I don't know what would be the political implications. But remember, the NPP too is being fragmented by folks under the belt of the CDC. So I see people blaming people, why CDC to doing poor? Come on, politics is not for children. Legendary Lawson placard I used to play for Togo, the days of Lone Star and all of that. He had an interview one time. Somebody said, "Why are you always targeting good players?" He said, "Anyone that poses threat to my team victory, my mission is to take you down." So for those of them that still crying, CDC the one that made people happy, well, if you know the strategy of a CDC, you need to advance your strategy to also subdue CDC. So that thing it doesn't make no sense. It doesn't hold a deeper water. Pa Joy,
Yeah.
what will happen if CDC turned Joel Howard Taylor upside down?
CDC is playing on a very dangerous turf. And what do I mean? Joel Howard Taylor got problem in Bone County now.
But suppose she's challenged. Not to interrupt you, she's challenged and she cannot beat on top of the NPP ticket. That would be a good justification for which CDC might not even carry her.
Listen, if that's the reason, they can go to Nima, but Bone would not be for them. Now,
what is it? Bone would not be for them.
We talk to people. Here's the thing here. The Nima thing is another gamble. You got another son from Nima who is going hard in this race. So, what will happen if two children from Nima are in opposite camp? That when you see another fight. So, CDC is really caught in the middle of this thing here. How they want to play it, how they want to navigate this thing, they gotta be very careful. And Prince Johnson, you talk about Prince Johnson. I think the grip that Prince Johnson had on Nima, the first term, is not like today again.
That grip is still there.
Things are changing in Nima. It's not as when Prince Johnson, when he used to talk.
But it's going to be even more different, Mr. George, with a son of Nimba on the ticket running for president.
Yes.
And Prince is not running. Prince Johnson is not running. It's going to be harder for Prince.
Yeah, it's the thing, and we're going to keep this here for conversation. Yeah, it's the thing. If you talk to most of the Nimayans, and this is where it comes down to us making decisions that are not of substance, but empathy, sympathy, and reflections of the past. 99%, if you talk to them, all of them might not get empty all of what they have within their belly. But guess what? Whether we like it or not, Prince Johnson is being viewed as the redemption of the people of Nima County. That is still within them. Why are they carrying this old man still to be the next senator?
No, but Mr. Soe,
that's the concept. I know the voting bloc have saying, but this is what has been pressing in the minds of these people.
But Mr. Soe, if somebody is going to be running against Prince Johnson in Nima County, then yes, absolutely, it is difficult to defeat Prince Johnson in Nima County. What Mr. George and I are trying to factor in here is you got Tewan Gonglo running from Nimba County to be president. Prince Johnson is not president. So now the people of Nimba have a different calculus to go. They're not voting against Prince Johnson to be president.
I'm not sure what his strength will.
If Prince were running to be president against in Nimba, I say Prince Johnson stay with Nimba County, but he's not. So in politics, you don't just say, okay, I take my goodwill and hand it over to this man and everybody follow. It never goes that way. So for him to say, well, all the goodwill you get from me, don't give it to your own son. Give it to somebody who, even if the person came from Nimba that's running for second versus the person from Nimba that's running for first, that would be a very hard fight in Nimba County.
You know, he has followed this sort of cheap politics. I've been here when I was doing XYZ, Tiawan, and they were saying here, this and that. And we're seeing a lot of it. And that's where the issue, it comes back to people discussing issue of a substance. But gentlemen, we're going to leave it here this evening. We want to thank you so much. By God's willing, we're going to be back here same time, same station here. Pa George, if your man gave you some of your 30K, let me know. At least I can.
We can use it to go file a lawsuit.
I can use it. Say it again. Oh boy.
I saw a press conference recently. We're going to talk about that one.
Oh my goodness. I think I got a recording here, whatever it is. After 18 years, he been in the lower house. He's now been giving about another 9 years. And that's what I don't understand. So imagine, when will your daughter have the opportunity? 9 years. After 18 years, they give you 9 years. It is where it is. So let's go home this evening with this better song here. Say it again.
I said, let me just show you what it is. You know, Prince Johnson and Tenwa, they don't get along. So that would be a fierce fight. Any side that one going to go on.
But man, if from one country, stay within your confines. Forget about it. You don't get nothing to do what going on in
If they want me to touch anything, I will let you have the last say today. I will let you have the last say.
All right, gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for your time this evening. That's how we're going to be going on. We'll be transiting in Bond County this evening before we sign off. Amos Joyce said it. We want to thank all of our viewers, listeners, and followers. We want to thank you for your time, your comments, your tweet, and those that call in. Thank you so much for participating in tonight's program. And if you're from Bond County, you are in the house, we say this is your go home song. Thank you for participating. We always try to promote the traditions, the culture of our country, and that's what we should be doing. And this is why LPR is always here to do that. Thank you so much for your time this evening. By God's willing, we'll be back here same time, same network with more news, information, and entertainment. From Grand Gilead to the Ocean State here in the U.S., I am Alphonso Zean Soe. Thank you for your time this evening. Bye-bye.